In this video, we'll continue to work on our fitness app. And here we're going to create a login screen. And in creating this login screen, we're going to learn a few things about Adobe XD that will come in handy for the rest of the work. So right now I'm looking at the app, and the only thing that I have here is our style guide. So the first screen that we want to make is the login screen. So we need a new artboard. If I click on this button right here, this will bring up all the different artboards, and I believe the artboard that we had before was the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So if I click on that, it's going to give me an artboard of the same size, and then I can switch over to this tool. You can move the artboard wherever you want to. Once you click on the title of the artboard, you can move it, and we can do that later. But for right now, I just want to change the name of this. So I'm going to double click on the title of the artboard, and I'm just going to call this login, and then just hit return. And now I can start working on the login. The first thing for the login is going to be the top bar. The top bar is going to include a logo. So what I need to do is grab the rectangle tool from the toolbox, move my cursor up to the top left-hand corner, and I'm going to click and drag down into the right. Again, every time you draw in XD, it's going to give you a border, and we can turn that off later. And this needs to be about 50 pixels high, so I'm going to just stop here. So I'm going to turn the border off, and the color is going to be white. It's going to be a little tough to see, but just going to know that that's there. And then in the top section, we're going to put in the logo. And the logo is just a configuration that's made of some text. In this case, it's knockout. It's 40 pixels. And it's a certain weight. So I'm going to grab my type tool. And with the type tool, I'm going to click here. I'm going to type in EverFit in all caps. And we have our type styles, which is great. So these are not the right type styles that I want for the logo. What I need is a font that should be included in the handout, and that is knockout, and I want it to be the junior middleweight. And then the first part of the text is going to be black. So I need to select this text and make it black. And the rest of the text will be our primary blue color. And I'm going to just move this into position. If I want, I can select both of these items, and I can use the alignment options to align the logo vertically within that space. And then I just need to nudge it over to the left a little bit. As I'm nudging, I'm using the arrow keys to nudge it. And I can see a readout there, so 16 pixels is where I want it to sit. And next on the login screen, I need a full bleed image that's going to go for the rest of the page. And one thing that's important about working with images in XD is that as you import them, they're going to be the size that they come in, so you can scale them and size them. But if you want to make them fit within a certain area, you can create masks for that. And so I'm going to go to File to Import. And I'm going to go into my folder. And I have my asset folder here. And there should be an image for this that I want right here. And you can see the dimensions for this image is 1280 by 849. You can see that it's it's landscape, it's not portrait. So I'm going to go ahead and import the image, and then I'll have to do some additional things to it. So you can see that wherever the image is outside of the artboard, that it's not quite visible. In fact, if I were to let go of this, you can see that it just clips that off. So it automatically kind of masks anything that falls off of the artboard. It'll do that with text. It will do that with objects as well. But what I want to do is I want to scale this up fairly large. I'm going to move it up until it touches that rectangle that we created earlier. And then I'm going to scale this up quite a bit. So I want it to fill the screen. And it's almost there. Need to do a little bit more. There we go. And I'll just move this into place. Okay. So I want this to be centered. And that line, that vertical line that you just saw there, shows me that it's centered. But I want this to be semi-transparent, and I want this to be in the background. And I only want it to be the size of the artboard. So if I click off of this, I can do that. And then over here in the appearance section, I have an opacity slider. I can drop that back. I want it to be about 60%. And then I can release. And now I have the background for my login screen. Next on the login screen is going to be a profile image. So I'm going to grab the ellipse tool. And I need to make an ellipse for a profile image, and this is just a dummy image. So I'm going to make this on here, and it's going to be about 150 pixels. If I hold down the shift key, it's going to constrain it, and that's what I want. I just need to move it into position now to get it to be centered. And there I have it. Now I don't need a border. And what I want is I want an image to go inside of that, that circle. So I'm going to import another image. And let's see, it is this image. And I'm going to move that over this circle. And then I'm going to send it backwards. So if I go to the object menu, I should be able to align this, arrange it. I'm going to send it backward. That way the circle is over it. And then I'm going to scale it down just a bit. And then if I select both the circle and the image and I right click, I can choose mask with shape, and the keyboard shortcut is Command-Shift-M or Control-Shift-M, and now the image shows through that shape. Next, I need some text for the screen, so I'm going to grab the text tool again. I'm just going to type in the name of this screen, so it's a member login screen, and this is going to be white text. And it's going to be a bit smaller. This white text is going to be 24 pixels. So I'm going to make this 24. And then I can center that under that image. And then because it's on a busy background, one other thing that I can do is add a drop shadow. So there's under the effects section here in the inspector, there's drop shadow, inner shadow. So I'm going to just turn on the drop shadow option just so that the text is going to stand out a little bit on this busy background. Next, we need some input fields. So I can draw those with the rectangle tool again. I'm just going to move my cursor out to about here. Click and drag to draw an input text field. Well, this is simulation of an input text field. Now you notice on this rectangle, if I zoom in just a bit, and I'm just holding down the option key and I'm using my mouse wheel to zoom in. You can hold down Alt and use your mouse wheel to zoom in as well. There's these small circles in the corners, and if you drag those, that will round the rectangle. And you can see over in the inspector, there's an area for the rounding of the rectangle, and right here, and you can adjust that. So in this case, I don't want it to be too pronounced for the rounding. What I want it to be is only 4 pixels. So you can literally just click in the field, type in 4, and hit return. Now, to show this up on the background, I'm just going to keep the border on. If you want to change the border color, we can change it to one of our colors, but we'll just keep it this way. And then this input field is going to be for the username. So I'm just going to borrow this. I'm holding down Option and dragging, or hold down Alt and drag to copy. And then I'll call this username. And then I can select both the username field and the input field. Option, click and drag down. You can see a distance indicator there that showed up. And then I want to call this one password. And then the last thing that I need is a button. I'm just going to zoom out a bit here, see what I'm doing. And I can grab the rectangle tool again, and I'm going to line this up just underneath the password button. And then I'm going to make this really round, and I want to make this my primary color. So I saved this earlier so I can use that, and I don't need the border on, so I can just turn that off. And then I need the word enter in there, so I'm just going to borrow this. I may need to move that to the top, so object, arrange, bring to front, and I'm just going to rename this enter, and then I'll line that up with the button. And then we have our login page. Obviously, there's other things that could be added here. For example, if this is a login for members, but if you weren't a member, you might want to include a link that says, already, if you're not a member, click here to register, or you might have a forgot your password thing. But this is just to illustrate some of the features in Adobe XD in creating this login screen.